as the eyes of the footballing world focus on the Euros.
Graeme, Simon and I will have all sides of the game covered on Three Up Front.
As we tackle the biggest talking points coming out of Germany.
As England try to deliver on their promise.
And Scotland try not to routinely embarrass themselves.
There's no need for that.
So subscribe to the Upfront channel for new weekly episodes.
Euros 2024. We are right in the middle of it. It's all kicked off. Games are flying left, right and centre. And I am with my stooges. I mean my colleagues. Troy, nice to have you back. We missed you.
Did you?
No, he lied games. Did we miss him?
We did miss him.
I don't know about that. That's not what you were saying with Jolien you were powering up with last week. So we've all been in Germany for a little bit. I've been here longer than you boys. I've been over in Munich. You've been in Berlin and you've just got here. What's your first impressions of Germany and the people that we've been associating with?
No, I love Germany. I've always liked coming to Germany.
Of course, because we've just found out that you've got German heritage, haven't we?
8% German.
Yeah.
It was 27% earlier.
Yeah, but it depends how far they go in the tournament. Like if they end up winning, that number could go up. But I've always enjoyed coming to Germany. I feel this is a country that works. Mm-hmm. I spent 4 hours on a train yesterday. Instead of giving it it was smooth as you like. The toilets were that good. I think in six. Right. I think I visited 6 times. Six times in 4 hours. That good.
What, you went to the toilet 6 times in 4 hours?
Just to have a look.
Yeah, that good.
No, I think it's been excellent. I think the tournaments ran smoothly. Transport's been fine. It's been lovely.
Nice country.
It's been really nice.
It works.
Nice country.
Yeah, really nice. Yeah.
CBE.
I have heard.
I wasn't going to mention it.
I haven't found out why he's getting it or how much he's paid for it, but I have heard he's getting one.
Cantankerous, belligerent, egotist.
Okay.
That's what CBE stands for.
Nice.
I thought so.
Just an all-round good guy, easygoing. In all seriousness, is because of my charity work. And I'm absolutely thrilled to get it because it highlights the... Personally thrilled for my wife and my kids, but it means my charity, Deborah, is back in the... We're talking about it.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
In people's minds.
It's a great honour.
Yeah,
and if you look at the ranking of it all, MBE, OBE, he's gone straight to the top of the tree. And I think from a footballing point of view, he well deserves it. And of course from the charity side of things. 100%. So it makes me feel quite ill to have to say that, but well done, mate. Congratulations. Well done, well deserved. But let's get on to where we are now in Germany with the Euros 2024. I was going to go to the Germany Scotland game, but I knew they were going to get pumped, so I didn't feel there was any point being an Englishman going there and watching. Besides the novelty value of being able to laugh at them, but obviously we've seen England go out and play the Serbians, and we've seen an outcome that is a result. Mm-hmm. And I'm interested to see what the general reaction is from you boys about what we saw from England, given that it wasn't the greatest of performances.
No, well,
you were there.
Yeah, well, I went to the game. You guys, I think, enjoyed a nice bottle of red and watched in the hotel as well, lads.
I watched it with Ralph Reniak.
What about?
Graeme watched it in his bedroom, in his pants, in front of a mirror.
I've mentioned him 5 times.
Well, because
can that be it, please?
Because I'm trying to give some... You watched it in your bedroom, in your pants, in front of a mirror, talking to yourself about your CBE.
I'd spent a night
How
with
deserved
you.
it was.
We'd gone for an Italian.
Yeah.
Which he'd paid for.
Banter.
Yeah.
By the way, I paid.
You did?
Who did you watch the game with?
Alan Pardew as well.
All right.
That was great.
No,
right.
so I
So anyway.
Yes, I went to the game. Game felt weird. Gave me Italy vibes in the final of the last Euros where we scored and you're like, right, go on and kick on. It's never happened. It raised a lot of questions for me. Do we have enough control? Do we have enough leadership, I want to say in-game leadership, to recognise the problem, smelling the danger? Yeah, especially that second half. I thought we lost all control with the ball. Without the ball, we was okay, but with the ball, I thought it was a little bit worrying.
Well, my interpretation was I thought they had a good half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Started well, on the front foot for half an hour, got their goal. Fabulous goal, by the way. You'd be proud of that.
Yeah.
He's risked everything. He risked getting smashed himself.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought after half an hour, they seemed to subconsciously go into their shell. You know, that's the time where you keep the ball. As a midfield player, you're loaning it out, you're getting it back, you're making them run around, you're not giving it away cheaply. Mm-hmm. And the longer the game went on, the more and more Serbia grew into the game, the more and more of a threat they became. And I thought for the manager, he maybe should have made some changes.
Yeah.
I think you do disagree with me. I think they've got real quality on the bench. Yeah. I think when Saka's not having a good day, there's an obvious replacement. And I think on the other side, when Phil Foden's not on a good day, he's got an automatic replacement. It's not like for like, but near enough.
Yeah.
Big fan of Jared Bowen, and I think Anthony Gordon, given the gear he's had,
I think
we should have brought him on as well.
It's interesting you compared it to the Italian game, because I thought it resembled, without wanting to go back into comparisons being the analysis, I thought it looked more like the Croatian game in 2018, where similar, I mean, obviously Croatia, I think, have got better players than the Serbians had, but England were dominant in the first half, and it was evident that something was going to change in the second half with the Croatians. They were going to get slightly better. All the Serbians did was press a little bit harder and put us under a bit more pressure. And England just seemed to fall away.
Yeah, they took Mitrovic off as well, didn't they? Allowed for more pace, power, agility.
Tadic came on.
Tadic came on, a bit cuter with the way he plays. I just felt there, though, it wasn't scary, but it was very much one's not enough. And you have that little feeling. It felt like, do you remember how Arsenal used to feel under Wenger towards the end, when you think they're going to give you a chance here?
They don't keep the ball well. You know, when you're in a good team, you don't give the ball away cheaply. And I felt last night, the central midfield, you can't fault them for their efforts in terms of the hard shifts they put in, like you alluded to earlier. You know, they're good without the ball. Yeah. But this England team should be a lot better than just good without the ball. They shouldn't be giving the ball away as much. They should be keeping better possession. They should be making the opposition work a lot harder. And I'm looking for more ring craft, if you're talking about boxing. More, where is this game going?
Yeah. We all agree that England were dominating the game for the first 30, 35 minutes, and it began to turn before half-time. I think half-time.
So then you give it 10, 15 minutes into the second half, then you make...
But what's he saying in the dressing room at half-time? You can see the game starting to change after 35 minutes, and they created a couple of chances before they went in before the break. They come out, and the Serbians have changed. We have carried on from the 35th minute to when we start in the 46th minute in the same vein. So what's he saying in the dressing room?
You would give 10 minutes into the second, you would say you're going to have to find another gear.
That was the point I did notice in the game. We looked tired. So certain players looked tired. Yeah, 100%. But we didn't look fresh.
But that's nonsense, isn't it?
We didn't. Yeah, it has to be. Obviously, they've all played a lot of games, but everybody has who's at this tournament. But I felt like we wasn't right at it. There wasn't a nastiness. I saw it from three players. Jude, obviously, Rice and Kyle Walker. They were the three that were on the front foot getting after people. And Jude, one thing I noticed that he's an orchestrator both with the players on the pitch and the crowd. He understands little moments when it's a little crappy tackle. He's like, all right, come on, get you guys up and get it because
he worries me. See if you agree with this. He worries me because I'm looking at him and he'll slightly overrun the ball or get involved in challenges that if someone's looking for him, if there's anyone looking for him, they would catch him.
Rudy-esque when Rudy started.
Catch him.
What successes did we take out of the game? Okay, the result is 1-0.
The result.
And the result. But when you look at...
First half an hour.
First half an hour, okay. But when we look at players' performances and we look at, say, Foden, who you wax lyrical about in the last show that we did, where you talk about the fact that he can play, wherever you put him, he's going to play at a world-class level. And Bellingham is operating at a high level. Where is this seeming problem with Phil Foden at international level? Because he doesn't seem to shine. Is it because simply the debate is that he's playing in a Man City side and domestically he's playing in such a good side that it elevates him? Or is there something happening at international level which is changing the direction of travel? And is that lying with Southgate's management of him?
I think he's got an issue. Or utilisation. See, if you ask any player, they get into the team when they're young boys, they're just delighted to be in the team, and they end up like a fullback, really a centre half, a wide midfield player really wants to be in the centre. You only be in the centre because you get more touches. So they all gravitate in the way. You ask him if he was sitting here, where do you want to play? He would be saying just off Harry Kane, just in that hole there. Now he's got a dilemma in terms of, you'd then be saying to Jude Bellingham, if he was to play more centrally, you're going to have to be a bit of a holder player, a holding player. Well, Jude Bellingham was the top goal scorer in Spain last year. He gets a goal last night. So you can't take that threat away. So I think the only place you can play Phil Foden at this time is in a wider area. He's got tough to accept that.
I thought the bit I didn't like for Phil was I didn't think we gave him the ball a lot. I think when he's at Man City, yes, they dominate the ball, but he's used to having a touch every 30 seconds, a minute. There were times ago 2, 3, 4 minutes without the ball, and a lot of his best work was done, especially second half, in our left-back area, bringing the ball down, trying to run us up the pitch 40, 50 yards. I feel like he needs to demand the ball You know what it's like. You haven't touched the ball for a little bit. It's like, hey, give it me. Even if it's just a lend in a pass.
Sorry, he spent 2/3 of that game on the back foot.
Yeah.
He's a striker. He wants to be getting the ball there, going forward. Doesn't want to be doing the hard yards going back towards his own goal.
So what does this? So okay, with all that in mind, what does this look like for Foden? Because we are talking about where he would like to play.
You're highlighting him, Simon. It's 90 minutes. He could be the best player on the pitch in the next game.
But I'm not digging out a player, Graeme.
No, you're talking about the whole context.
I'm not entirely sure which particular Phil
that
Foden
leads
has
to
turned up
everything
at
else.
international
That leads to everything else.
It does, but if you've got a body of work over a period of time and the conversation keeps on saying, Phil Foden, brilliant player, you turn around and say all the things that you've said about him previously, put him in the shirt, doesn't make any difference, he will continue to shine. Yeah, at international level, he doesn't appear to, whereas Bellingham has.
I think if you're going to play Phil Foden, you have to allow him to come inside, but you need a natural left back. When Shaw plays, he looks miles better because the width and the pace and power comes from there. Trips, to be fair to him, hasn't played a lot, was kind of backing him up. So now the Serbians could actually double up on Foden, and he kind of kept getting into pockets of space where it was quite tight, it was quite narrow.
That's a good point.
And I think, do you know what I mean? The natural winger coming left back, bombing on, adding a bit of value going that way, would have scared them off. But he ends up getting into pockets now where the space is really condensed. I think to add, because I feel like we were on a negative, we did win. I thought Mark Gray was excellent, centre half. Looked come to the forefront. I thought John Stones was very good. I thought Pickford was okay. Decision making was good. There's only one thing I saw wrong, which I thought he could have come and held the ball in about the 80th, but he punched it.
Yep.
That's it. That looks better. It looks like he's matured. The worry I had in the stadium was when Kieran Trippier went down. I don't know if this translated on the TV, but when Kieran Trippier went down, holding his hamstring and stretching, there was an almighty, oh my God, what now? Because we didn't think Luke Shaw was. And then when Gareth sent out Konza and Gomez, it really highlighted, hold on, if one of these go down, we're going to have to put square pegs in round holes. And it had this fear. Our new left backs now, all of our left backs now are right footers, naturally. One of them's a right back playing left back. The other two who potentially could come on are natural centre halves trying to play at left back. And then if John Stones comes out, for example, and we have to put Kyle Walker at centre half, and then you put Trent back there, now that creates its own problems with itself. So as a whole, we were 6.5 out of 10. And it should hopefully get better. I just worry. My worry is looking at the bench, there's not enough experience to come in and deal with those situations.
Well, that's what, because I mean, you are in the camp of believing that the bench is a very significant bench that can be weaponised. You're not necessarily in that space, are you?
No.
And history tells us with Southgate, one of the big criticisms that I've had of him over the 3 tournaments that he's been in previously is the ability to change the game. I don't just mean game management, I mean utilise the armoury on the bench. But when you statistically analyse that, over his international tenure, he's made 375 changes, resulting in 19 goals and 18 assists. So less than a 10% outcome from the decisions that he makes. I mean, how important are these changes, or is he utilising them at the wrong time in the wrong way? Because that's a component part of an international manager. Mancini did it in the 21 Euros. The Croatians did it against England.
I come back. I've been a manager, and the game's not going well, and you look along your bench and you think, take off him. That's not the same quality. I think with England, I think you can take that risk. I know you're still inexperienced. I think look at Jared Bowen comes on. First thing he does, gets the ball to the far post. Harry Kane gets an end of it. May have been if it had gone in disallowed by VAR for climbing all over the defender. But he made an instant impression. And I think Cole Palmer, you've got to... I've said prior to this tournament, I think if he comes on, he might put a performance in that makes him...
Stay in.
Impossible to drop him. And I just see the boy Gordon. You know, he's had a fabulous year. Get them on the pitch. You know, let them see what they can do, because... You're in the stadium, the game's drifting away from England, the crowd would sense that, they would go quiet, the manager must pick up on that.
What did you think when we changed and when Declan Rice, Kobe Mainoo and Gallagher, did you think he got any better? Or
no.
Anyways? Yeah.
And I'll tell you what happened in the last 5 minutes of the game. Why are you pulling a face like that?
Because you're campaigning for people to be changed. He's bringing on players like Bowen that have a little flash for 5 seconds and put a ball in that could have created a goal. But that, again... reiterates the fact that the substitutions that he makes, and when he makes them, don't produce any tangible outcomes.
I was just about to give you what I saw with my eyes, having been a midfield player. You're 1-0 up. You're under pressure. Kobe Mainoo comes on. more or less the first thing he does is chase a ball down and is putting the goalkeeper under pressure to kick it quickly. I'm playing with Kobe Manu. I'm telling him, central midfield, you can go 20 feet, 20 yards that way, 20 yards that way, 20 yards that way from me. The rest of the time, get next to me. That's just
see this game out.
Yeah, a little bit of naivety. But senior players would do that. The manager should be telling them that.
Is there any danger, putting aside a Scotsman in the conversation, is there any danger that we're being a little bit overcritical of England and not giving enough praise to the Serbs?
Yeah.
And their contribution to the second half?
100%. I think what we're also doing is as well, our emotional feel of we see how great these players are for the Premier League week in, week out. Our expectation level is probably really, really high. And that's probably a fair win. Most people, France, Portugal, whoever, Spain, happy just to get a win, get off the mark, get moving. I think we expect. I certainly turned up to the game thinking 2-3-0. It's a be a good game, confident game. Start seeing the wide players get after it.
What's important? They got a win.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's paramount. You got off to a win. You don't want to lose your first game. Otherwise, then the mood is terrible. Pressure's on you. Confidence. People might get affected by lack of confidence. So they win it. They win it. They weren't convincing.
What did you think, Simon? We haven't really heard of yours.
Listen, I thought the same as Graeme. I thought the first 30 minutes, England, it wasn't great in terms of it wasn't dynamic, but England were in control of the game, and I expected them to take it away from the Serbs. I couldn't understand why the second half manifested itself the way it did. I couldn't understand why we're getting to the point where our midfield players are deciding to hoik the ball up the field without anyone to pass to, because that was the sort of panic that was setting in the side. I couldn't really understand that, but look, the result is the result. We've won the game. I think there might be an element of we're moving into territory of being more concerned. We constantly listen, don't we, about football, about people wanting to see a certain brand of football. The job was done.
Yeah.
We beat the Serbs. It's confined to history. No one will remember this result if we go on and when we play more meaningful sides, when we get into the knockout stage.
But we know, sitting around this table, how good these lads are. Are we being unfair in saying that we want that when they play for England? I don't think so.
I sat in Munich with 200,000 of your lot running around full of beans and quite frankly deserving of a good performance. But what Scotland put out against Germany was anything but that.
There isn't a Scottish player that could come off that pitch and say, I won my battle today. None of them. To a man, none of them.
We've all played against teams that we've walked out and go, these are better than us. The only way to level that and equalise that is work harder and stick it on their toes.
I don't see them out footballing Hungary or Switzerland. But that doesn't mean to say you can't win games against these teams. Defend properly, full concentration, the whole game, and then maybe nick something on a break or a set piece.
I worry with Scotland because I don't know where the goals are coming from.
Well, McTominay was the reason he got there, 7 goals in the qualification.
He didn't even get in the Germany half, did he?
Didn't get in the box.
First game. So,
talking about games that get away from you, your motley crew.
It took 10 minutes, to be fair.
I mean, you're in a situation. I mean, I didn't go to the game, as I said at the top of this show, because I didn't want to sit there watching Scotland getting beat 4-5, because that's what I thought would happen, and I didn't want to sit there laughing at Jim and phoning you up and doing FaceTime.
You think I would have answered?
I just didn't think it was right for me to do. But
you must have run out of battery, because I would have got that call.
You've got a Scotland side that went in there with a lot of seeming resolve. John McGinn was talking about, we're not here just to make up the numbers. We're not here to not come out of the group. And there was a real feeling of optimism. I sat in Munich with 200,000 of your lot running around full of beans and quite frankly deserving of a good performance. But what Scotland put out against Germany was anything but that. When you look at that result, Graeme, in isolation, and you look at it across the opportunities that now exist against the Swiss and the Hungarians, I mean, you must be fearing that Scots are going to go home with 0 points.
Well, there was nothing about our performance that was worthy of any note. We didn't turn up. The game after you enter that game as a player thinking we're not going to do anything daft. In the early part of the game, we're going to weather the storm because it will come. We don't concede any goals in the early part, and we start to feel ourselves into the game, have a bit of possession, and go from there. After 10 minutes, they're 1-0 down. Which
is the worst start you can get.
At never at any time. I mean, it was always a hard ass playing the host in the opening ceremony. But at no time in that 90 minutes, and that's some statement, no time in that 90 minutes.
Did you lay a glove on them?
Did Scotland have anything to shout about? The goal that gets an OG. And I just felt it was a pretty miserable evening. I think
Are you surprised by it?
People will say we got our tactics wrong. I think we did. I think I can understand the manager's thinking. Load up midfield.
Yeah.
Shea Adams up front. He'll run around, try and get hold of the ball. He didn't. And they
Got
just
have a bit more though for international level as a striker, though, right?
Not only that, the idea was to try to get an extra man into midfield, and that didn't work for us. That didn't work for us. So, I think what epitomises which tells the story in full was the sending off. Where Porteous has lunged Gundogan in the box right on half time, and I think that was a Watford player.
Yeah.
Lunging and fouling and and could have broke his leg of a Barcelona player. Yeah. So that gap, Watford to Barcelona.
But the game had already gone by then, hadn't it? But I mean,
the point I'm making, it sums up.
Yeah, the levels that they're at. Yeah. But I mean, I felt that Scotland would at least lay a glove on the Germans.
There's no aggression from us,
and I can't understand why that was the case.
England were a bit like that as well.
But I think the difference is
but they got a result.
When I left the game yesterday, speaking to some Serbia fans, they left with optimism of, we had a good go there. We didn't think we were going to win, but they had a go, created the odd chance. That debrief the next day for Scotland would have been
super difficult.
10, 15 minutes of nothing. Probably re-looking at the goals, maybe. Set pieces. There was no play. There was no way of getting out. There was
nothing.
There was
to
not
take
one
from
person
it.
you go, he did well. Exactly. Yeah, and I just thought, I do take your point about Ryan being at Watford and obviously Gundogan at Barcelona, but we've all played against teams that we've walked out and go, these are better than us. The only way to level that and equalise that is work harder and stick it on their toes. That's the only way.
Do you think they? I mean, do you think they froze? I mean, Steve Clarke spoke about, and you insulate your players, and I understand that, but he spoke about overloading them with information, and that was one of the reasons why they were in the circumstance. I mean, I don't know if I buy that particularly.
No. Let's get back to the fundamentals. Win your own battle. You've heard that before. That's the starting point. Win your own battle, and then let's see where that takes us. If enough of us win that individual battle, then we've got half a chance. There isn't a Scottish player that could come off that pitch and say, "I won my battle today." None of them. To a man, and none of them.
I worry with Scotland because I don't know where the goals are coming from. I think if they're going to have to win games. So is it set pieces?
Well, McTominay was the reason they got there. 7 goals in the qualification.
He didn't even get in the Germany half, did he?
Didn't get in the box.
The first game. So, but I think the striker's always a worry for me with Scotland. I do think set pieces have got an opportunity, but Porteous is probably one of your most aggressive. You go to attack the ball. He's now out of the tournament. So if they go out, so I just worry. I just worry where the goals are going to come from, and I worry that they can't stop goals going in the other end.
What's the expected reaction from Scotland? I mean, ultimately, you've both played, and you've been on I mean, you won't have been many times, but there's been instances where you've been on an end of a performance, which certainly international level you've had disappointments. What's the minimum that can be expected? You've got 200 Scotland fans over here that are rabid.
Well, I think
fans.
Make a game
what's
of
the
it.
minimum that you're going to expect against the Swiss?
The Swiss are no mugs. They look a good outfit. So at least have a goal. Give the crowd something to shout about.
They want to see
aggressive.
Blood, sweat, and tears. They want to see crash, bang, wallop, get after.
But from this group of players, I mean, you've got players out there. We can argue about the quality, and we can make the level comparisons that you've made, Graeme, and they're quite relevant. But there are also players out there that are playing in top Premier League sides that didn't turn up. McTominay and McGinn being cases in point. When you have a football
team, Sam, you're only as strong as your weakest.
I understand that.
So I think
but someone's got to lead from the front, haven't they?
Troy alluded to it just now. Scotland, all 3 games, their game plan had to be counter-attacking.
Make it difficult for the opposition, keeping the game.
Piece. You ain't going to out-football Germany.
Yeah.
I don't see them out-footballing Hungary or Switzerland. But that doesn't mean to say you can't win games against these teams. Defend properly, full concentration, the whole game, and then maybe nick something on a break or at set piece. You ain't going to have a stat in this competition, the next 2 games, Scotland have the majority of the possession. That ain't going to happen. They'll be having less possession, but it doesn't mean they can't win football matches.
Before the tournament, I mean, we've seen a few of the runners and riders. We've seen the Germans, we've seen the Italians, which no one's mentioning. They're defending champions, so it's interesting. All my Italian mates going, excuse me, while we chop liver. We've seen the Spanish, we've seen the Dutch, and we've seen the Swiss. My pre-tournament favourite, and I still maintain it, is not because I'm being a little Englander. I still think that England will have a very significant chance to win this tournament. Are you seeing anything in the very early stages of the tournament, seeing the Germans, seeing the Italians and the Spanish that lend you to your thought process about where
you
this
can't
might be ending
judge
up?
Germany on the game they played against Scotland. They're a good team, but are they a very good team? I think we have to wait to see how. I like Spain, but Croatia had a lot of ball against Spain.
Mm-hmm.
That was, I think that result flatters Spain slightly. No one mentions Portugal.
Yep. My concern with all those teams you just said, our midfield, if we don't get that balance right, we
100%.
could lose that battle in the midfield. I think our front three is arguably the best in the tournament.
Do you think Trent is...
Based on what I saw yesterday, I think he gets on the ball okay, he hits some lovely long balls, but he gets dragged out of position because it's not natural for him. And once you come against the bigger players, the better players, even Germany, where their front three were just off the back of Scotland.
It's a different radar you have to have on.
Yeah, 100%.
I see Trent in this team as someone you bring on when you're chasing the game, because you get a free kick anywhere near their box. Mm-hmm. He's got wonderful delivery.
Set pieces were poor yesterday,
but generally he's top class.
Yeah.
But I just think it's a hell of an ask against the better teams.
Mm-hmm.
I think you find life difficult playing as a midfield player.
What's that got to do with my question about favourites?
No, I think for me,
was that poor a question? We just
I think
we just got off it and just
it's
charged
about
on.
putting your proverbial on the block.
I'm
maintaining England's point of view.
I think England are still the favourites in my opinion, but I think when I looked at the performance yesterday, it would be out of England and France for me. Neck on the line. I'm going to say France.
Are you?
I'm going to say France.
Are you going to? You were in the camp of England, weren't you?
Yeah, I still think England are slight favourites.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the first half an hour. If they had done that for 90 minutes, you'd be all sitting here joyous and we're going to win the tournament. We know, I'll say it again, we know how good these guys are because we see them every weekend.
Yep.
That you're a top player because you're consistently very good. And England have a lot of very good players that are consistently good. And last night, that can happen to any team and any individual.
Absolutely. See you next time out.
This has been 3 Up Front, brought to you by William Hill.
Subscribe to the channel for weekly episodes.
18 plus, please gamble responsibly.